Katie from What Katie Did, and today I'm going to review a pair of fully fashioned stockings that are made in China and sold on AliExpress and eBay. I've done quite a few videos about fully fashioned stockings over the last few months, and it's a bit annoying because whenever I do this, I always have someone piping up on our Facebook feed saying, you can get these on AliExpress far cheaper, made in China. And I keep saying, well, you can't, because they're not the same, because you can't actually make, fully fashioned stockings have to be made on vintage ready machines. And if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know in full detail exactly how they're made and why they have to be made this way. And so in the end, I thought to try and quieten this person, I'll order some and see what happens. So I ordered some, and I was expecting to do a video saying how awful they were. And it's kind of, you know, with karma, it's kind of come and bit me on the bum, because when it comes down to it, they're not that bad. So these fully fashioned stockings made in China, they retail, I've got my notes here, they retail for about $4 in the US and just over £3 in the UK. And for the money you pay, for $4 and £3, they are definitely worth that amount of money. The important thing is they're not fully fashioned, but they are totally wearable if, as a seam stocking, that they're fine. There are some resellers selling them on eBay, and I've looked on English eBay, I haven't looked on the US eBay yet. And they're selling them for £6.50, which to me is a bit high. I see these nylons as being worth about £5. As I said, they're totally wearable as long as you fit into a certain size bracket. But I wouldn't like to pay more than £5 or $6 for them. But as a basic seam stocking, they're fine. So this is how the packet arrives. There's no branding, and we actually did some research work into this, and I didn't expect to be able to find who actually made these stockings, but it's actually from a big hosiery and sportswear brand who also make for Nike and Hanes. So you can be assured that the factory is totally above board and it adheres to all regulations. So you don't have to worry about things being made in a sweatshop or anything like that. These nylons are made in a good factory. So this is how they're presented with no branding. And I'll just open this pair up to show you. There are some things I really, really like about these nylons, and there's some things I'm not so keen about. When you look at them, the welt is one of the things I really like about them. It is like a vintage stocking welt. It's very sheer, it's almost like a fully fashioned stocking welt, and it stretches nicely, it fits my thigh fine. It doesn't have the detailing at the top of the welt that a genuine fully fashioned does. As you can see with a genuinely fully fashioned, you've got like a tuft detail at the top all the way along the top. And with the reproduction one, the welt is just folded. The thing I don't like about it is the finishing loop, which is this loop here, which is it's very heavy-handed. A fully fashioned stocking is a very, very elegant art garment, and you can see the finishing loop here is very delicate, and the seam goes all the way through, and it's finished very delicately. It's the raw edge, it's just the way the nylon is finished on the edge of the finishing loop, whereas this reproduction one, they know that the finishing loop is a very important part of having a fully fashioned stocking, but what they've done is they've used a very heavy loop and they've overlocked around the outside, and there is actually a gap between the finishing loop and the seam. So, I mean, that gives the game away that these are fully fashioned stockings. With the genuine fully fashioned stocking, you can see the finishing loop. It doesn't have the overlocking around it at all. It is literally the selvage edge of the nylon, and you can see the seam goes all the way up through the welts. These nylons are actually made on a circular knit machine, so they're made using a modern seam stocking machine. So if you buy our Glamour seams, which are made on a circular knit machine, these ones, they're made in exactly the same way as these fake fully fashioned ones. The the leg is knitted and the seam is added for decoration afterwards. They have a Cuban heel, which is a bit iffy. It doesn't fit the foot as well as it should do. But the thing that really bugs me about these stockings is that they have a hairy seam, and I've used this. I'm sure no one understands what I'm talking about, but with a factory I've worked with before, I always complain about hairy seams because the seam, it's kind of chopped off, and you can see, I'll try and show you in more detail, that it's not a smooth finish. So when you wear that next to your skin, it kind of looks fluffy. You don't get a nice sharp line. You get the fluffy. And here we have the genuine Fully Fashioned stocking. You can see that the seam goes all the way along under the foot and through the heel and all the way up the leg, all in a continuous line. And also the finish here on the Cuban heel is totally smooth. There's no jagged edges there at all. These nylons do contain lycra, so they're stretch, unlike Fully Fashioned, but they are a nice stocking. And I've said in another video that if you're not obsessed with Fully Fashioned stockings, and Fully Fashioned stockings, they do tend to be geared towards people who have a stocking fetish, or people who are totally obsessed with vintage fashion and really like everything to be authentic. If you're not one of those people, then these will do the job. They're fine for the price you can get them for. They're fine, and they do the job. Really, the main issue I have with these reproduction stockings is they're being sold as Fully Fashioned stockings, and they are most certainly not. So when it comes to issues I have with them, the stockings are fine, but they are 100% not Fully Fashioned. The other issue, it could be a possible issue, is they are one size. And I am 5'5", and I wear a UK dress size 12 or a US dress size 8. And they just about fit me. I could do with them being just about a tiny bit longer, but I could wear them if I really wanted to. So they are one size, and they are not Fully Fashioned. So if you are under a US size 8, UK size 12, and under 5'5", you could get away with wearing these. But if you are any taller or any bigger than me, then they're going to definitely be too short for you. So unfortunately, you miss out with that one. So now I'm going to try them on, and I'll show you how they look. I have a few mosquito bites, so you have to excuse the lumps and bumps, I'm afraid. So here we are. They're just about long enough for me, so I'd be fine to wear them with a girdle, but if I was any bigger or had any longer legs, they wouldn't really work. The finishing loop is very big. You can tell by looking at it. It doesn't look like an authentic finishing loop on the Fully Fashioned stockings. And the other thing is the Cuban heel does come up very, very high. I have actually adjusted this to pull it down, but when I first put them on, the Cuban heel came like all the way up here. So if you do get these, you do have to be careful with that. And also the detail under the foot isn't very elegant. It's quite a clumsy cutaway. But apart from that, I mean, as I said earlier, for the price you pay, these stockings are perfectly wearable, and they're definitely worth the money. If you do have any questions about Fully Fashioned stockings or any of the other garments we make, please get in touch. And in the meantime, take care, and I'll catch up with you soon.